Meeting to order. Meeting to order. Carrie, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have Chris, don't we?
I'm here.
You there, Chris? Yeah? Okay. Okay, I'm going to read something into the record. Pursuant to State Law 54953B, Councilmember Chris Garola will attend the meeting via phone from 211 East 4th Street, 3G02 entrance, apartment 3110, North Little Rock, Arkansas. The meeting agenda will be posted in this location, which is open to the public more than 24 hours before the meeting. Any interested member of the public may join Councilmember Garola at this location for the meeting. Georgie, would you do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Garola.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Villaseñor.
Here.
Mayor Austin.
Here.
Councilmember Brogy.
Here.
Councilmember Mendez.
Here. Okay, Dave, we don't have any presentations, do we? Okay, we're moving past to number 6, public comments. Chris, do you have any public speakers?
No.
Okay. Do we have any public speakers? Okay, seeing none. We're going to move on to item number 7. Okay, we're going to move back to public comments. Oops. I'd like to first call Rhonda Taylor. And you have 3 minutes, and when you hit 30 seconds left, the yellow will come on, and when your time's up, the red will come on. I'm sure you already know.
I do. Hey, good evening, Mayor and City Council representatives. It is with a heavy heart that I come before you, as others have already done, to ask Councilwoman Villaseñor and Councilman Mendez to please renounce or apologize, or maybe both, for their audience participation in the atrocious instance of the dance/stripper act which took place during the One Step Olivez Pride event. I was not present for the dance, but I saw enough of the act on a video to realize the sexual content portrayed in front of minor-aged children who were present. Since the man dressed in drag refers to himself as an official hooker in the daylight, I would expect this type of behavior during his performance. It is a travesty of protection for our most vulnerable citizens of Fillmore, our young people. Our children's tender hearts and minds should be guarded from these acts of perversion. They are not old enough, nor are their minds developed enough to be out from under the protection of adults who should care for their innocence. Please show the citizens of Fillmore your impeccable moral character by apologizing for not condoning this perverse and unethical drag dance. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Tiffany, I skipped over approval of agenda. Can I reverse back? Okay, we're going to move back to item number 4, approval of agenda. I'd like to remove item number 12, closed session, because we're going to do that in a special meeting. So I'd like to entertain a motion.
Okay.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Georgie, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Garola.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Villaseñor.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Councilmember Brogy.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendez.
Yes.
Okay, now we're going to move back to public comments, and next speaker is Tim Holmgren.
Hi, good evening, Council, people in the room, people watching from home. My name is Tim Holmgren. I'm a Fillmore resident, and I'm making a comment tonight. I'm actually making 2. The first one is because the community had expressed some concerns here at the last City Council meeting. I wasn't here, but I saw it. The Council listened to the community, but there was no indication that the message was heard. The citizens of Fillmore know that the city and the City Council have no official connection with One Step Olivez and have no official connection with the strip show for children that took place in June. However, The community also knows that 2 of the council members sitting here tonight supported the event where the strip show for children took place, and as of this evening, neither of them have acknowledged that there was anything wrong or inappropriate with what happened. So I encourage Cristina Villaseñor and Albert Mendez to, 1, acknowledge that what happened fits the dictionary definition of a striptease. 2, acknowledge it was wrong to bring a strip show to an event where it was known that children would be. And 3, acknowledge that they do not support the strip show and that was on display for children while their parents were at work. As representatives of our city and our community, they have to set an example for what's right and appropriate. If they're going to sit in those seats, they need to protect our children from harmful influences. Now, I would like to say that since writing my notes, I have had a conversation with Albert, which I deeply appreciated. We had a very nice conversation, and I definitely feel that Albert and I are 2 people who can work together. So the next thing that I want to mention is that I'd like the City Council to officially recognize Constitution Day, week, and month in September. I know that the mayor has a general policy of limiting the number of proclamations he signs, but the Fillmore community will stand behind and support your decision to sign a proclamation proclaiming September 17th as Constitution Day, September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week, and the month of September as Constitution Month. Thanks.
And just as a side note, Tim, it's already on the calendar for me.
Thank you, Mark.
Next speaker is Brandy Hollis.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to bring a couple things to the attention of City Council. One is that this year AYSO has grown to over 680 youth in their organization. It is so big. But currently, AYSO's 680 players are split up between 2 parks. That's Shields Park and Dolores Day. While Fillmore Raiders has 2 Rivers Park. They have approximately 250 to 300 if you count cheerleaders. Once again, that's an approximate number. And they have the entire park. Now come time for daylight savings, they'll be moving over to Shields Parks for the lights. And then AYSO will move over to 2 Rivers. The problem with this is, me personally, I have a 6-year-old who plays over at Dolores Day. I'm coaching 10U, I'm coaching 12U over at Shields Park. I can't take my daughter over to her practice because the kids are split apart. There's no need for that. We have a park that's big enough for all the kids over at 2 Rivers where we play all our games. There should be no reason for them to be split apart. I know Raiders has been here for a long time, but AYSO is a national organization. It's big, and it's the biggest youth organization in Fillmore. They should be accommodated too. I think it's really important that the city, Parks and Recs, whoever handles it, I'm sorry, I really don't know, but it needs to be handled a little bit better, I think. And it shouldn't be first come, first serve. I mean, when you have 680 kids in the city all playing soccer, we need to accommodate those kids. Also, too, I know everybody's talking about what happened at One Step Olives. I know One Step Olives is not affiliated with the city. I just really hope that both of you had no idea that that was going to happen. Both of you have youngsters. I would never expose them to that sort of thing. I love your kids, your grandkids, Albert. If somebody ever came in dancing like that, I would shield them from it. I don't know your daughter. I wouldn't expose her to that either. If I was coaching your kids, I would make sure nobody's doing a striptease and drag for them. So just wanted to put that out there. I really hope you would extend the same courtesy and not, sorry, it's cutting out, but not allow that around any children, period. Yours, mine, or anyone else's. We have to protect our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Annette Sula.
Hi, I'm an Atsula, 37-year resident of
When
Fillmore,
was I supposed to
California.
start it? When you're way back there?
Huh?
When was I supposed to start it? When you're way back there already announcing who you are?
Yes. I'm trying to get these. 2:56. Okay. Okay, so two things. One, I'm so happy to hear that we're already on board, because I've been bringing this up, I think, many years now, the celebration of our Constitution. But there is a pamphlet that I gave out to all the people on the council, because it's important to know that the statement, which says, to commemorate the September 17th, 1787 signing of the Constitution of the United States, Congress has designated September 17th of each year as Constitution Day, September 17th through 23rd each year as Constitution Week. In 2004, Public Law Number 108-447, Section 111, was passed requiring the following. Each educational institution that receives federal funds for a fiscal year shall hold an educational program on the United States Constitution on September 17 of such year for the students served by the educational institution. Furthermore, each federal agency or department shall provide educational and training material concerning the United States Constitution to each employee on September 17th of each year. In keeping with these congressional mandates, recent presidents have solicited help from federal and local government leaders as well as civic and religious leaders to hold events to commemorate the occasion. We encourage all citizens to use their influence to organize and support programs that honor the Constitution. Resources for holding such a celebration may be found, and there's a website that you can go to. So that's all I had to say about that, but I also wanted to say about having been a preschool teacher for years, teaching at the college, I always had to have my fingerprints taken if there was anything in my background whatsoever that suggested that I was doing things that was inappropriate, where children were concerned. I would have lost my job immediately. So I do not have any understanding of why people think that what happened at One Step Alavez is at all acceptable. And as a court-mandated reporter, had I been there, I would have had to report that, because it is illegal to do these things in front of children. I just don't understand why people are acting like it was okay. It's not okay. It's not legal. And besides that, it diminishes who we are as people and how we are perceived as being able to take care of our children in our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, there's no more speakers. We're going to move on to item number 7, City Council reports, recommendations, and comments. I'm going to ask Chris, do you have anything to say, Chris?
Yes, I would just like to thank everyone who came to speak tonight. Even if we got comment cards thrown in late there, I really appreciate it.
Okay.
With regard to any concerns for sports fields and whatnot, I'll just speak from my personal experience. I've got kids in both Raiders and ASO, and so we're going to be spread out no matter what. And that must be a consideration as well, that many families have kids in all the sports. But that doesn't prevent the presidents of the organizations from working with Dave, who I know they have contact with. So please work through the organizations to work with Dave, and we're trying to rebuild those relationships to make sure that we have the best plan possible. And also, I want to try to work with the school district to make sure that any fields that they have that are available are competitively priced so that we can utilize the fields that we're also paying for through our taxes. Additionally, I'd like to highlight a news report from the FBI.gov website recently, the Operation Cross Country, which involved the recovery of more than 200 victims of sex trafficking, and 126 individuals were accused of child sexual exploitation and trafficking offenses. Recent incident, ongoing investigation and case in the city of Fillmore brought to light the need to engage with our local agencies and Dave can give the names, but we expect members from our local agencies to come speak at our next meeting to highlight the dangers of online exploitation for our youth. We value the youth of Fillmore, and we will do everything to protect the youth of Fillmore.
Is that it, Chris?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Christina?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mayor. So I wanted to bring back to fellow council at our last meeting regarding, we had our presentation from SEC and talked about the Green Rate Program. And so in this last month, and actually the day after the council meeting, we were given via email the presentation from Southern California Edison and their program, and also we got forwarded again the presentation from Clean Power Alliance. And so I bring this up because I'd like to see if council, I want to keep the momentum of talking about these programs and considering green energy. I'd like to keep the momentum moving forward. I believe it's probably past the deadline to go forward with Clean Power Alliance this year with their feasibility study, but there is no, there's sort of like a rolling admissions, I guess you could say. I don't know, rolling admissions not the right word, but they're always willing to look at the data and consider a feasibility study. So I just want to make a couple of highlights again regarding the two programs. So at Natalie's presentation last month regarding Southern California Edison's Green Rate Program, it's a voluntary program of clean energy. They're not accepting new customers. There is a wait list. Their interest has exceeded the procured amount of available capacity. And also a year ago, last August, they kind of petitioned the California Public Utility Commission to see if they could procure more or use, I think they called it, alternative resources, and they haven't heard back from the CPUC on that, and that was a year ago. So I feel like Edison's a little bit stuck in that area. They had, or I think they sought out bids, but no bids met their eligibility requirements. And then another highlight from SEC is that they support customer choice. And I thought that was really good of Natalie to say in her presentation, and that it's not SEC, Edison doesn't see it as a competition. They are, they support the choice of customers. And then just a couple of highlights from CPA again. That was the one from 2 months ago. Against publicly owned clean energy, competitive rates. You get a single monthly bill. Clean Power Alliance is not an added fee. It replaces the Southern California supply generation charges. They've got 1 million customers. We're actually surrounded by Clean Power Alliance. They are the unincorporated area of Ventura County, Piru, just over the cross Sespe Creek. They all have CPA, along with most of the cities in the county and a lot in LA County. And for those that are eligible for the CARE program, which I gave you some data last month, it looks like it's nearly half the households, according to our latest data. Their rate, if we were to go forward and go for the 100% green energy, it would actually still be less than Edison. It'd be 1.5% less than Edison's rate. So Clean Power Alliance's choice, as elected officials, we're put in positions, to make decisions for the community. And the beauty of it is that we can give our residents a real choice. If they choose not to stay with the Clean Power Alliance, they can opt out and easily go back to Southern California Edison. So anyway, I know that's all my pitch. I just was it was a rehash of the last 2 months, but I wanted to put forward to my fellow council members consideration of moving forward and basically agendizing the feasibility study, maybe agendizing looking at a couple of our cities, what the rate savings would be for the city of Fillmore, and we could possibly talk to the school district as another big employer with many buildings. So I just wanted to put that forward.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Want to see if I had any support on that?
Okay. Seeing none.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea and something that we could look into.
I appreciate that.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we have one.
Okay.
So we're going to move on to.
All right.
Calvert, do you have anything? Carrie? Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so just a few things that are going on I wanted to mention to the community. First of all, I had an opportunity to just meander into the Active Adult Center yesterday, and I spoke with the Julianne and Pauline who are working there, and I was really impressed. And one thing they shared with me, and I would like to present this to our council members to potentially put this on as a presentation. They are really trying to get the word out there about the activities that they're doing now, and they're really increasing after having been closed for so long. They're trying to really build the momentum on the Active Adult Center and have more activities. So they've been knocking on the doors of the senior apartment buildings and doing, just a whole lot of outreach, trying to get the word out. So I suggested that perhaps they could come and do just a presentation at the opening of our city council meeting, and they both were all over it. They thought that was a great idea, so that was one. And then I had the opportunity to attend the music concert at City Hall here on Friday night, and I believe our drummer is here in the audience this evening. I just want to encourage people for the next 3 Friday nights. We will have different bands out there, and it was the turnout was fantastic on Friday night. It was so pleasant, and so many families, kids playing. I had 3 of my grandkids there, and they were having a great time. So the following next 3 Fridays, I encourage all of our community to come out and join us. We have food trucks that are out there, so come and grab your dinner here. And then one other item I wanted to bring up is that on the 12th of August, I shouldn't say we, I should say Sean McCulley sitting here, who owns the Ventura, the Fillmore Theater, will be hosting the Battle of the Wits. So comedians that will be there doing, if I understand correctly, impromptu work, and I think that's going to be a great event as well. So lots of stuff going on in the community, and I hope that we all take advantage of this. I keep hearing and seeing on social media sites that we need more activities in Fillmore, and there's a great, I think, a variety of things that are going on, and we need to get out and support them. So, but thank you.
I'm for getting a presentation from the Active Adult Center.
Sure, absolutely.
Dave, can you schedule that as a presentation? Okay, moving on to item number 8.
Mayor, I'm sorry. Before we move on, I have one more. Carrie reminded me of one more announcement.
Okay.
Thank you. And that is regarding fun, neat events that the city is putting on. I know that on Friday, August 25th, it is a reopening of our pool. It is also a float and flick night. I think they're going to show a movie. I think it's a Super Mario Brothers movie. And the city has been trying hard to bring In-N-Out out to Fillmore. However, I think we're still short a number of In-N-Out meals, and you could
115.
Right, I know it's
it's 40 minutes ago.
It's tough, and they have to have a minimum number of orders. So for those that are listening, please go on social media, go to the City of Fillmore, either Instagram or Facebook. The link is there. You can order meals, or you need to order meals. You can't order them at the truck. And it would be great to have them out. We have to meet a minimum by a certain deadline that's actually, I think, coming up. It just got extended. And a lot of families are excited about this happening, but it can't happen until we get the number of meals. So, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Moving on to item number 8, consent calendar. Can I entertain a motion?
Make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Georgie, will you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Garolda,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Villaseñor,
Yes.
Mayor Austin,
Yes.
Councilmember Broggie,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendez.
Yes.
Okay, we're moving on to item number 9, 9A, appointment to Cultural Arts and Recreation Commission. Turn it over to staff.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and residents. The newly Cultural Arts and Recreation Commission has 5 members, each of whom must reside within city boundaries. And they are typically, the appointment is recommended by the mayor, and then it's affirmed by the entire council. So we received notification that we had a commissioner stepping down. and Lonnie Farr, who has been a commissioner in the past, and she's been very helpful. She was a previous commissioner for the Parks and Recreations Commission. Threw her name on the hat again, and so the mayor reviewed the application. She reapplied, and tonight we're just seeking approval from everyone with the recommendation of the mayor for Lonnie to be reappointed as a Cultural Arts and Recreation Commissioner, and her appointment would be effective through June 30th of 2025. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, any questions? Okay. Can I entertain a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Georgie, can you do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Garola,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Villaseñor,
Yes.
Mayor Austin,
Yes.
Councilmember Broggie,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendez.
Yes.
I think Lonnie should come up and give us a speech.
Thank you, Lonnie. Thank you, Lonnie, for stepping up.
I'm just kidding.
No.
Thank you very much, Lindsay, the dog.
Moving on to item number 9, 9B, approval agreement for purchase and sale of the Equestrian Center property, 308 Chambersburg Road.
I'll be presenting this one tonight, Mayor and
Okay.
council members. Staff is recommending the City Council approve the agreement for the purchase and sale of property and joint escrow instructions between the city and Mario and Vanessa Garcia Robledo for the sale of real property located at 308 Chambersburg Road in the city. It's approximately 37.94 acres. A portion of the property, as you all know, is improved with the Fillmore Equestrian Center. That includes buildings, stalls, riding ring, and improvements. The remainder of the property is an area that was mostly previously used as a landfill that was operated as a burn dump from 1950 to 1972 and using the trench and cover method of waste disposal. So although the area was formally closed in 1972, there are restrictions that remain in effect regarding the use of the land, which severely limits the use of that land and requires certain ongoing obligations to keep the area covered. This area is something that the current operators, who are the buyers, are familiar with since they have been on the property for about 4 years. And they've talked extensively with the county and different state agencies, and so they're aware of what they'll be undertaking. And they will have an additional 45-day due diligence period if the agreement is approved to continue reviewing the property and everything about it to determine if they do want to move forward. Assuming the property does go forward with the sale after the 45-day due diligence period, there'll be 10 more days until escrow closes. So in theory, it would be about a 2-month period. The city previously went through a process required under the Surplus Lands Act and has clearance from HCD to sell this property. The city offered the property for sale, and this was the only offer received for a sales price of $75,000. With the closing of escrow and this agreement, the lease that they currently have for the property would be terminated. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for Tiffany?
I don't have any questions, but just a comment that this is a long time coming, and I'm just really, really pleased that we are at this point. And I think it was definitely the responsible thing for the city to do. So thank you for all the staff that worked on that.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Okay, I move that that City Council approve the agreement for purchase and sale of the real property.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Georgie, will you do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Garola,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Villaseñor,
Yes.
Mayor Austin,
Yes.
Councilmember Broggie,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendez.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Move on to item number 9C, discussion of the restoration of the dog park at Two Rivers Park.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As you're aware, the dog park was closed in the year 2021 due to concerns with violations to the American Disabilities Act. And then your direction was to figure out how to make those improvements and see if there were any additional improvements that should occur at the park, at the dog park. The Cultural Arts and Recreation Commission identified numerous improvements that could occur, and the city staff did a cost estimate, which came close to $1 million of improvements. City staff requested cost estimates to just make the corrections for ADA, and those cost estimates are about $186,000. So if we move forward now with just making corrections to ADA, that will be our costs. There is funding available for that through our parkland development impact fees. There's money available, and we can proceed with making ADA corrections. If you wanted to do the more extensive corrections, we can do those in later years as money's available. That concludes my presentations. I'll take any comments you may have.
Any questions for Kevin?
Just to clarify, Kevin, that this is sort of a much scaled down dog park, but it would be, and along with doing all the ADA necessary, but it will open that dog park with basic facilities.
Yeah, the dog park will remain the same. You're probably not going to see much difference as just a person using it, unless you're ADA. You'll have if you can park your car and get to the park and travel back and forth. So the average person is not going to see too much difference. It's extensive improvements, but the whole park will remain open if we make these corrections.
Okay. And currently, is there water there within the park? Is there?
There's a faucet.
There's a dog faucet. Okay. Okay. All right. That was my question. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm burnt out on the dog park. Any other questions for Kevin? Seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion.
I move that we move forward with staff's recommendation.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Georgie, would you roll call, please?
Councilmember Garola?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Villaseñor?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Councilmember Broggie?
Yes.
Councilmember Mendez?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to item number 9D, Joint Fillmore Santa Paula Ventura County 2-year agreement for operational funding for the Spirit of Santa Paula Harvard Salt Shelter.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we're asking the City Council to authorize the City Manager to sign an agreement with the County of Ventura and the City of Santa Paula to share in the cost of operations of the Spirit of Santa Paula Harvard Shelter at 1498 East Harvard Boulevard in Santa Paula. The shelter provides 49 beds and an array of services, including food distribution, behavioral and health care through Ventura County Healthcare Agency, and year-round emergency sheltering and outreach services as well. Spirit, they have a debt-free ownership. However, they have had challenges in terms of their day-to-day operations from funding sources. They reached out to the city, the county, and City of Santa Paula to potentially assist in funding for the next 2 years. Between June 19th and July 30th, the three agencies and Assembly Member Steve Bennett worked together to put together the agreement. Essentially, it's a 2-year agreement, and the city's already made our first-year contribution, which is $150,000 via ARPA funds. Next year, we have committed to participate with $144,000 for the next year. From that, Santa Paula will contribute $288,000, and the county is going to match the total amount as well for $432,000 for a little over $800,000. In addition, the county is putting up an additional $750,000 for emergency funding if something were to happen out of the ordinary in terms of a water break or a roof issue, that they'd be able to draw down on that. The city of Santa Paula has actually entered into an operator agreement with the shelter, which puts them in control of the operations, which kind of keeps us out of that. They will bill us and the county on a quarterly basis, and they will make our payments to the city of Santa Paula. It won't be a pass-through. to the shelter. Some of the things that they're looking to do out there is developing personalized housing plans, supporting shelter occupants and managing their own lives within the scope of their resources and abilities, providing housing location and counseling services, establishing relationships with private and public property owners and rental agencies, assisting to provide permanent housing opportunities to shelter occupants, and assisting with housing applications. And the shelter will use their best efforts to kind of do that. One of the other nice functions about this in the agreement, grant funding that comes in, and the first $200,000 will go to the shelter. Anything above that will go to offset the cost from the cities and the county as well. They're using the first $200,000 to hire a new executive director. Kay is going to step down from that role, and they're also going to try to hire a grant manager to facilitate and get some help on site for that. And one of the key components that City Council really wanted us to include in here is Assemblymember Bennett. During the 2-year term, he is expected to use his best efforts to have the Spirit of Santa Paula, or if the name changes, to be recognized as the City of Fillmore's official homeless shelter by the state of California within the term of this agreement. We felt that was very important for us in case the state comes down and mandates individual cities have to provide their own shelters. We want to make sure that this is something that we can have here. It takes us about 10 to 15 minutes to get that shelter. You can take it that long or longer to get from one end of Thousand Oaks to the other, even within the city of Ventura. So we felt that was very important to have in here. And again, this is only for a 2-year agreement. If we don't like the way it's worked out, we can end the agreement in 2 years. And for a homeless shelter for $144,000 a year, this is probably one of the best bargains we will have from our standpoint, from the community standpoint. For those who need shelter, please reach out to the city, reach out to the police department, fire department will try to find you help. I know people are probably asking themselves, what about the individuals who are at the riverbed? We probably talk to them 2 or 3 times a month, ask them if they'd like to have help, and they refuse us. And unfortunately, you cannot force people into receiving services. Every once in a while, someone will say yes, and we'll take them down there and get them help. So that's the overall agreement, and we're hoping for your approval tonight.
Any questions for Dave?
I have a question.
Okay.
I just want to clarify that the available beds that the city would gain should the shelter be recognized as our official shelter is the missing piece of the ability to enforce any local ordinance, such as a red line channel, any of those considerations that had been tabled. That it's because there's no bed available currently in the city of Fillmore officially, that prevents us from being able to exercise any ordinance as such. Is that correct?
That is part of it. And Tiffany, could it be more detailed, please?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really complicated question because the law on this is evolving. And the pertinent case talks about having an available bed within your jurisdiction. And so it comes down to the question of what's reasonably considered within our jurisdiction. Obviously, not every city or county is going to be able to have its own shelter. And so there are a number of public agencies that are doing this. They're contracting in a nearby community to have beds in a shelter, and they are moving forward under the presumption that that's okay. And the ACLU and others have not challenged that yet. So we believe that it should be okay, but it's not crystal clear. That's why City Manager Rowland's referenced that we're asking Mr. Bennett to help us try to perhaps get some legislation to make that the law so that it's explicit.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Just one question to also either Tiffany or Dave. Does it sound, in your conversations with Assemblyman Bennett, does it sound like he will move forward with trying to push some legislation through to get that concrete?
Yes, the conversations I had with Assemblymember Bennett, he indicated he would definitely do that for us. Most likely, he's going to try to carve it out within our local area versus a statewide issue, and they've been able to carve things out for different cities and different jurisdictions around the state, and which kind of gets it through because you're not impacting other jurisdictions. So yes, he said he'd walk it through and hopefully get it approved for us.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions? With that, I'd like to entertain a motion then.
I will make a motion to authorize the city manager to sign an agreement with the County of Ventura and the City of Santa Paula to share in the cost of operations of the Spirit of Santa Paula.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Georgie, will you do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Garola,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Villaseñor,
Yes.
Mayor Austin,
Yes.
Councilmember Broggie,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendez.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. We're going to move on to item number 9E, staff update on the expenditures of the city's American Rescue Plan funds and city council approval of the proposed allocation of the balance of the funds.
Good evening, council members, Mayor Austin. I'm Deborah Cavaletto, Finance Director. Item 9E has staff recommending that the City Council discuss the proposed spending plan for the remaining of the city's American Rescue Plan funds, or ARPA, and approve the proposed allocations of funds as shown as in Exhibit 1. ARPA is a federal government aid package for state and local governments to recover revenues due to the pandemic. The city has received approximately $3.8 million in ARPA funding. These funds must be obligated by December 31st, 2024, and fully expended by December 31st, 2026, or they will need to be returned to the U.S. Treasury. Over the course of the past fiscal year, various projects have been identified for ARPA funding as shown in the staff report. Successful completion of projects include the roof replacements of the Active Adult Center, City Hall, and Police Station. Over the course of the year, subrecipient agreements negotiated by the city to the Big Brothers Big Sisters of Ventura County and the Spirit of Santa Paula have provided much needed support to these organizations to continue normal day-to-day operations to serve Fillmore and the surrounding communities. The community swimming pool replastering project is in its final phase of completion. Funding for this project includes ARPA and 50% cost of reimbursement by the Fillmore Unified School District. The Downtown Rehabilitation Grant Program is underway for the Downtown Business District to provide grant reimbursement up to $12,500 per building and business project for exterior improvements. As of this time, we have received 12 applicants. 3 have been approved, 3 are in process, and 6 are incomplete, which we have not received any follow-up by these applicants. The city has reimbursed 2 of the applicants and is requesting to retain funding for the remaining 4 active applicants. This item meets the city's goals in the areas of financial or fiscal management, public safety, economic development and innovation, community engagement and communication, and infrastructure, and that the City Council approve the recommended funding priorities. This is the end of my presentation. I'm available for questions.
Any questions?
I do have a question. Thank you, Deborah.
Yes.
Actually, is this? Sorry, Mayor. Just want to ask for clarification. I have trying to think if this is the right point. I wanted to bring up some shifting of funds. Would that be?
Dave?
Yeah, we can do that. I think what we want to do is have Erica talk briefly about the downtown rehabilitation grant program, and then we can get past that. And then if there's monies you guys want to shift around, we can talk about that.
Okay.
Okay, so that will come after. Thank you, Deborah.
So staff's been working for the past year, making different efforts and reaching out. Sean McCauley, who's here in the audience, he's the president of FAB. We've been working cohesively, making sure that the word spread out to all of the business owners. Like the staff report indicated, there were 12 applications that were submitted. Every single application was reviewed and comments were provided to each business owner with a list of items that were pending, and they had to resubmit it back to us. Out of those, we only have been actively working with 4 applicants who have been engaging with the city, making sure that they are meeting all of the different requirements. One of the biggest things is some of the improvements do require a building permit, and they do have to also comply with the downtown specific plan. And so I think that sometimes there is that misconception, or they believe that, you know, staff is not trying to approve it. It's not that. It's just we need to make sure that we're following the specific plan and that a building permit is properly issued prior to the application being approved. But my office, the planning and building department, we have all been working cohesively and getting comments to all of the business owners. And if there's any questions, they typically reach out, and we have this communication of providing them with any assistance that might be needed to get them where they need to be for approval of the grant. If they follow the instructions and they submit all the paperwork that we need, the process is pretty simple and it goes fairly quick. So right now, those 4 applicants are almost approved. We just are working the last details for their building permits to be approved. So I can answer any other questions if you have.
When's that program end? When's the last date expire? When's the expiration date of that program?
We don't have a actual expiration date on file per the application.
There's nothing on file, but tonight the recommendation would be to end it as is, and then the individuals who are currently working with, through the 3 or 4 working with, to give them
have
60
days to comply with all the requirements.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Erika.
Okay.
I could just add on to that. There is the requirement that we have the money encumbered by the end of this year.
Mhm.
That's why that recommendation is being made, so that we can pivot and find another use for it, so they don't claw it back.
So it's open for discussion, Mayor?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Carrie. Okay, so I understand the need to have enough time, excuse me, to pivot and ensure that the funds are encumbered. I know that we all received, at least as council members, we received an email from Sean McCauley, who is here, and that there are some that started and I think haven't finished. They might be some of those incomplete, and there's also a owner of downtown businesses who would like a chance to apply. That being said, I believe Sean said it's a total of 8 storefronts potentially. I would like to recommend that we extend it by just 1 month instead of drawing that final line at today's meeting, that we just deal with the 4 that we have, to see if these 8 storefronts potentially get all the information and work well with Erika, and can actually get a complete process. And it would take a lot of work. They're going to have to do a lot. They're going to have to be in communication. And if it can get done, great. But if it can't, then I say we do end it 30 days from now.
Are you saying 30 days from now plus the 60 days?
Well, 30 days from now for those applicants or those who have not yet, I believe, been in communication. So almost like just extending, if you haven't been in communication with the city, you have 30 days to start that process and really get, Erika, I don't know if it has to be finished, but at least at what point, I guess, for someone, for a business that hasn't done any paperwork with you, what would you?
So the application, the application comes online and then it's reviewed. If all the documents are in order, then and no building permit is required, then we go ahead and issue a notice to proceed. If a building permit is required, what a business owner should do is go to the Building and Safety Department first, obtain the paperwork, or they can reach out to me via email and I'm happy to email them the application. And then that information needs to be submitted to the Building and Safety Department. As long as the application is complete and they have the supporting documentation needed. For example, if it's an awning, they need to know how that is going to be bolted into the building. And so those specifications have to be provided. And so at that point, if everything's good, they'll issue the building permit, and then we issue the notice to proceed once we get the okay from the planning department. So the process can move fairly quickly. It's just a matter of us getting all the information needed, because what really delays it is the back and forth, and then you provide a list of items, and then some items get submitted, and then at that point you go back and then you have to say, hey, we have these items here. And so I think that's what really delays it.
So back to what she's saying, she's trying to extend the date they can preliminarily or submit their application by a month, and then we would give them 60 days beyond that to be complete, or what are we talking about math-wise here?
Well,
Numbers.
I think a couple of items. Number one, for clarification, if we're going to extend it for the individuals who have not submitted anything at all, I think what we might want to recommend is open the window up for a 30-day period for whoever's on Central Avenue can apply. Within the ARPA funds, reallocate the $75,000 that staff reallocated within it, take $75,000, reduce the downtown enhancement city property by $75,000. Become first come, first serve for a completed approved application. For example, if you turn in your application today and we're working on it and someone comes in a week later and their project is 100% approved that day, they get funding. And even though if you haven't figured it out and you haven't got it done yet and it comes in later, and the funds have all been done for all $75,000, you do not receive any money. We cannot keep going back and forth like this. The other issue is this has been out for over a year, and now we're hearing people at the last minute when we put this out to pretty much end the program. So when one of them's working with us, I think we can make it work. We get the reallocation, understand the $75,000, that's the limit that's left. Open it up to everybody on Central Avenue, the ones that get their applications complete and approved within the first $75,000. At that point in time, it ends in 30 days or whenever the money runs out.
Okay. So first come, first serve, like you said.
So just a few points here. I guess my first question is, Dave, you're suggesting that it stay at $75,000. Is that correct?
I'm saying we add back to the program $75,000. Staff reallocated that funding in the updated ARPA project list. And so what I'm recommending is keep the updated list how it currently is, but then that's on page 139. But to make sure we have the funds adequately to cover the $75,000, that we reduce the downtown enhancements, city property, because it's still in the downtown area, it's still going to enhance it for us in a way that we use reduce the 163,713 by $75,000.
Okay, well, my thoughts on this, first of all, I know that Mr. McCauley has taken a couple of the business owners under his wing and has made some progress, maybe not with one of them that the city has seen yet. But when I think back to the efforts that we've put into trying to upscale our central district, the business district there, bringing in retail strategies, and it's just always been an ongoing project that we just never seem to quite get over that hurdle. So from my perspective, I want to see this still continue as a priority, and I understand it gets really frustrating when, the business owners are dragging their feet, they're not responding right away. But I think, as Council Member Villaseñor said, a 30-day extension for people to get their paperwork in. And so at that point, I believe the two that Mr. McCauley is working with, that would be, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that's 8 businesses total because they each own 4. So you're talking 8 storefronts that would conceivably have enhancements to them, which would go, I think it would be huge. 8 storefronts is huge. And again, as I said, the amount of time and effort that we've put into trying to improve Central, it predates my time on council in 2014. So I would like to see a 30-day extension allowed. If other people come in within the next 30 days, and if we're, well, I would think if there were 4, well, that's $100,000, right? I mean, 8, yeah. Yeah. So I'm hesitant to agree to reduce it right now until we move this date, hopefully, to the end of another 30 days, and then let it expire. I think if people, who knows why people don't get things done as fast as they, we would hope that they do. But again, getting back to the efforts that we put into making this work, I don't think another 30 days is going to be an issue. And, we're granting 60 days to an extra 60 days to the 4 applicants who are in the process. So I want to see at least another 30 days extended before we shut the door on this funding. And I'm rattling along here, but I hope that made sense.
And when I forgot, what year, when do we have to have this all spent?
December 2026.
December
It has to be,
It has to be
allocated.
It has to be
By
encumbered by-
next year, and then
Okay.
spent by 2026.
So we have some time.
To actually spend it, but you
Yeah.
need to pick what it's on, yeah.
Okay.
By December 2024, pick what's being allocated. Okay. And have agreements. Okay.
So the primary, 2 points I'll just make. I want to see the money stay at $150,000 so that we can accommodate at least these 8 that are coming in, hopefully within the next 30 days. I want to see that, call it the sunset, in 30 days. But I want to at least allow these business owners to have that opportunity, even though they may have not done things correctly, or they dragging their feet on it, whatever. But I'm confident, especially with our FAB chair kind of pushing behind them, I think we'll have some success. So,
Just quick clarification, if we go that way, so we're talking $100,000?
I think we are, right? 8 times
8 times.
12,500.
All right, but then, if we do that, that's fine, but I'd recommend then to kind of balance everything out how we have right now without stuff being allocated, just take that, still a lot of the downtown enhancements. That's fun right there.
Take it still from the 163?
Yeah, yeah, still use it there, we get it out there to use it, yeah. Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure we're on the same page with where we're taking it from. Not a problem getting the money, just want to make sure we're on the same page with that. And everything else stays the same. Thank you.
Can I give you just a minor clarification on the amounts? So I know with Ron Stewart's, I'm sorry, I asked the question, can I? I didn't wait for an answer. Sorry. With Ron Stewart's, with Ron Stewart's, the numbers aren't running. So anyway, with Ron Stewart's stuff, I know like one of his places is 7,000. I think one of them is 9,000. One of them is 14, but he's going to pay the difference. I don't remember the other one. So for his stuff, I know it's going to be less than the 12,500 per store. With Robert Dedlow's, that I don't know. So, thanks.
Okay. Okay. Any other? Do we make a motion?
Did we supply enough direction, Dave?
Do we go to Dave direction?
Well, I mean, are those the only 2 changes?
For now,
leave
I
it at
guess.
100,000 and
Yeah.
give them another 30 days.
Okay, then if
Yeah.
that's consensus,
Yes.
You good? You good? You good? Chris, you good?
Yep.
Okay. We're consensus. Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 10, committee, commission, and board reports. Chris, do you have anything?
I don't, but I was wondering if our Transportation Commission reps had any info on the potential road closure next week that the railroad is performing with Caltrans.
Yeah, I understand that. I don't have the dates or the times in front of me right now. Dave, do you by chance have that?
See here,
We just got it.
for the closures?
Yeah, thank you.
So Sierra Railroad next week will be having 2 emergency railroad crossing repairs in Fillmore. The first will be on Monday, August 14th, on Highway 126. The nearest cross street is Trestle Way, starting at 6:30 a.m. and lasting for approximately 6 to 7 hours. This will be the eastbound lanes, and they will be closing the number 1 and number 2 lanes, with traffic being diverted through the lane for hazmat big rigs. They have notified Caltrans, and they are aware of it. Then on Tuesday, April 15th, they'll be closing the northbound lane for the Mountain View Railroad crossing. They plan to block it off at Mountain View and Santa Clara, as there is not enough room to get northbound traffic past. It will still be open to southbound traffic. They will begin at 6:30 a.m. and last up to 6 to 7 hours. This information is on the city webpage and also on our social media information as well. Thank you.
The second date was what date?
Tuesday, August 15th.
Oh, I thought for sure I heard April, but, okay, that makes more sense.
Nope. Nope. Anything else, Chris?
I was just curious if there was any information about the nature of the emergency repairs. It seemed like very short notice from the railroad.
Yeah, I received no advance notice of this either. I got the email at the same time you did.
Okay. Okay, Christina?
Thank you.
Okay. Albert?
I do.
Okay.
Since we were dark the last 2 meetings, right? So there's something.
Just one.
Was it
Just one. Just one.
Okay, I was just dark, I don't know.
You're wrong. Never mind.
So, on the 20th of July, I attended a VCOG, Ventura County Office of Government admin meeting, and we planned, and that's a group of representatives from different councils all over the county, and I'm on the admin board for that, so we planned out our whole schedule, so there's lots of interesting things coming up on for our that VCOG board. One thing that we did, I participated in, and I actually was able to speak, gave some remarks at, and I want all of you when you leave today to, when you exit the doors here, observe the plaque as you exit on the left. And the event, the plaque represents all of the Fillmore Police Department before we retained the sheriff's services. So this was when Fillmore used to have their own fire, or their own police department. And all those who served as police officers, law enforcement here in the city of Fillmore are named on that plaque. So this dedication of that plaque was held on the 29th, and we had a lot of the officers here. We held the event in the foyer. Steve Conaway and his father Paul actually barbecued for us that day as well. That was really nice. But you know, I want people to take notice of that, because serving this community, you know, even years ago, it is today what it is because of what was done in the past. And just take a moment and read the names, and just, you know, be thankful that we've had that kind of an opportunity to have, you know, fantastic people serving our community and keeping us safe. And that holds true with our current police department without saying. But the plaque is new, so take notice of that. And then also on August 1st, and our current police chief can attest to this, they hosted the National Night Out at the Fillmore Police Department, police station here, and it gave the community an opportunity to just, you know, view and see all the equipment and the programs that they have going on. And so there were a lot of families and kids there, and they were looking, you know, looking at the motorcycles and the e-bikes and all the equipment. And it was really a great event. And so a little education for our community on what our law enforcement officers do for us. So that's it.
Okay. With that, I'm going to move on to item number 11, city manager's report.
Just a couple of items. A lot of them talking about already. I just want to let everybody know we had a homeless cleanup today down in the riverbed by Burlington. We took out 30 yards of trash. That's equivalent to 3.5 to 5 tons. We're going to be returning tomorrow to do additional cleanup as well. At the next city council meeting, working with the chief, we're going to put together a presentation of what was cleaned up, what was taken out of there. We do have pictures of before and after as well for people to take a look at with this. So that being said, the next item is the aquatic center. The pool has been resurfaced. It has been filled in with water. It has passed the inspection with the county. So we're now getting ready for our summer cookout, which was mentioned earlier tonight on Friday, August 25th from 6:30 to 10 o'clock. And again, hopefully, please get out there and purchase your tickets for the In-N-Out Burger. If you have a hamburger meal, it's $9.01. A cheeseburger meal is $9.55. And a double meal is $11.26 and includes a hamburger, chips, and a drink as well. There's a cardboard boat race at 6 o'clock at night, and then the Flick and Flow starts at 8 o'clock at night. It's $3 per person. As mentioned earlier, the movie is the Super Mario Brothers movie. Those are always a pretty good time if we can get you out there for that. And finally, speaking Sierra Railroad, Ventura County Transportation Commission, VCTC, will be holding a community meeting here at Fillmore City Council Chambers on Tuesday, August 15th at 6:30 p.m. to talk about the Sierra Railroad, any concerns or issues the community might have on their operations and storing of their trains. Please come down here and have a conversation with the executive director of VCTC, and I do understand it that the president and the tourism operator for Sierra Railroad are supposed to be here as well, as long as some elected officials from the county. So we can make it that night. It'll be at 6 o'clock, and I'm thinking it ends at 7:30 p.m. here at the Fillmore Council Chambers, and that's all I have for this evening.
Okay. And with that, I'm going to adjourn this meeting into our special meeting that's going to follow right away. So at this point, I'd like to call that meeting to order and read this into the record. Pursuant to state law 54953B, Councilmember Chris Garola will attend the meeting via phone from 211 East 4th, 3G02, entrance apartment 3110, North Little Rock, Arkansas. The meeting agenda will be posted in the location, which is open to the public more than 24 hours before the meeting. Any interested member of the public may join Councilmember Chris Garola at this location for the meeting. Georgie, will you do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Garola.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Villasenor.
Here.
Mayor Austin.
Here.
Councilmember Brogy.
Here.
Councilmember Mendez.
Here.
Okay, with that, I'd like to move to item number 3, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Georgie, will you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Garola.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Villasenor.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Councilmember Brogy.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendez.
Yes.
Okay, with that, we're going to move on to item number 4, public comments. Does anybody have any public comments? Seeing none, we're going to move to item number 5, closed session. We're going into closed session over 2 items. The first item is the city council will conduct a closed session because the city is considering whether to initiate litigation in 2 cases. The second item, the city council will conduct a closed session because there is a significant exposure to litigation in 1 case. We're going to go into closed session. in closed session on the two items. There is no reportable action on either item. We're adjourning our meeting to the next regularly scheduled meeting, which is, August 22nd at 6:30. Meeting adjourned.